Hello, welcome back to the Smothered Post-Session Podcast. My name is Lawson. Joining me once again at the surface here is director Seth Thompson. And coming back, joining us for the last time as we just wrapped his character, Lucas, the English language. Right here. This right here.
Well, hello.
You, sir, you have joined us here, the Smothered Post-Session Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm always happy to be here. I love working with you guys, but it's kind of a sad day. Like I've been enjoying this whole process.
Yeah, I mean, we're so happy that you have been here, and you by the far have driven the farthest to be here. So like, we sincerely appreciate the fact that you're willing to do that and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure working with you. I think we can both say that for sure. I mean,
it's been a lot of fun.
Brought so much. Thank you so much for being here and bringing the text of this character, Chief Lynch, Chief Lynch. Chief Lynch. Whoa, darker.
Whoa.
Why use the Chief Lance when you can use the Chief Lance?
Right?
I don't know how it's going to fly over.
He gets things done. Let's just say that.
Lance. Yes, portraying Chief Lance. I mean, I sincerely appreciate, we both appreciate you coming in, bringing life to this character, giving a voice to this, what was originally just, text.
Yes.
Text on a document. Now, the last time we spoke, first and foremost, did you get the information about dental?
Ooh. I don't think I did.
Okay. Well, that's good, because if you would have, then I would have been very concerned, because that wasn't sent from me. and since we are your people, as we established in the last one, I don't know who would have contacted you. But yeah, you this is a bit of a sad day because we've wrapped with your character. We don't have any more content to record for your character. And this is, so the last time we had you on here, you recorded, it was your first session. So from your first session to now, I mean, how do you feel about the character? Do you feel as though the character was taken to kind of places, to levels that we discovered things that you were never expecting? Talk a little bit about that.
I feel like I see a lot in media portrayals of law enforcement, or especially like middle or upper management in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. It's like they always have to be a hard ass or unreasonable, or do as I say, not as I do. And especially when you are not doing like a network TV show version, it seems like. But this has been a very fun ride. It's been a very, I would say, true to my life experiences kind of perspective, dealing with that kind of individual.
Really?
I'd say so.
So you think you've been able to kind of reflect a lot about your own experiences and kind of put that into this character a little bit more so?
I would say, like, I've never, I think as we talked about last time, I've never been in law enforcement, but I've worked in a public safety and a security capacity.
Yeah. And those cosplayers, man.
Dude, you don't even know.
It's a tough crowd. Yeah, it's a tough crowd.
You don't know.
They're all hopped up on something. That's a problem.
Depending on which convention it is,
But
depending on the convention, depends on the drug. You see,
exactly. Thank you.
That's actually interesting, though, that you said that. Like how in other media portrayals, how the higher ups, especially in law enforcement, need like you just said, like they have to have some kind of disagreeableness or something like that.
Yeah.
And what's cool about the way what you brought to this character is I don't get really any of that. It seemed like you brought Chief Lance an understanding quality. More of a
tough but fair kind of feel
just
to it.
You were very authoritative. Like your voice is very authoritative, but it was very like, let's work together.
Yeah, you definitely
figure this out.
Brought yourself down.
Go get it done.
You weren't just up on the pedestal pointing the finger. You would walk down the stairs and like talk with the people around you and everything like that, and be like, look, I get it. I do. Because that's also a big thing that I feel as though is lost sometimes when it comes to having a supervisor or something like that, is that oftentimes they were in the shoes of somebody, who's working underneath of them. Like he very well could have been Christina Washburn or Liam Donahue at one point in his life, and he's just trying to not lose that aspect about himself as
Right.
he's inundated by a lot more.
I think he was more of a
information.
Washburn than a Donahue.
You know what? Actually, that,
No, I
that
think he's
brings
more
me
of a
to
Reggie.
something.
Actually.
Oh, he's definitely a Reggie,
Back
for
in
sure.
the day, oh man. Oh,
But
man.
was
Shout
it,
outs
I
to
remember.
Reggie.
Reggie's a great guy.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
character.
I remember last time was we were actually having that dialogue with Washburn, having that kind of reinvigoration, I guess you might want to say, or revitalization of we're here to protect the community, to serve the community.
with the line that could have very well become the campiest thing ever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like,
Dang it. Yeah, you're right.
The South Park cop.
It's the whole, I'm going to go away from the microphone for a second, but it's the whole, you're right.
Yeah. Exactly.
damn it, Washburn.
I can't believe it. You're so right.
Yeah, no, I mean, just
But you gotta have stuff like that in it, right? Because
No,
it's
no,
the,
I mean,
it's
like-
like, it's the whole idea of it's like, hey, you're getting lost in the sauce of being in the higher ups. It's like, hey, this is what we're doing this for, and it's like, oh,
yeah, no, and I mean, like,
yeah.
just not only just that section of the script, that particular scene, but kind of the direction you guys were giving me for how that was supposed to be delivered, what the understandings were between the characters.
yeah.
I mean, it was a really, really. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't say maybe like an intense scene, but I think that definitely sets the tone for the character and the relationship between the three of them.
I think that showcases just any kind of power struggle that's in a workplace where everybody thinks that what they're doing is the right thing or it's for the best, but it's all about everybody's got a different interpretation about what exactly that is. Everybody might be focused on the numbers, or just getting the job done.
Yeah, and I mean, like I've done a lot of special effects work at I've done it for major sports teams, concerts, live events. I've done a lot of set building, and yeah, when you're in a position of power, you're the site lead, you're the foreman for that particular site. Sometimes you do start to lose perspective as to what it's like to be in the shoes of people who are following your orders. And sometimes you truly do lose what it means to actually be leading, to be, the first one in line to start an idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about the older I get in life, the more I come to realize that perspective is one of the most valuable forms of
without a
currency
doubt.
ever, right? Like somebody who is able to not only ideally come from that background, but also they're able to take a moment, step out of their own shoes and step into the other shoes or something like that.
And understand how it feels to be that person. Because like there's so many times that Lance could have said to Washburn, like, just go get it done. But instead he actually listened because like you just said, you said that maybe he was a Washburn, maybe he was a Donahue at one point. I think he was more of a Washburn. I think that's why he listened so intently to her and he really respects her opinion. Plus, she's just a good cop and she's trying to do the right thing. But one of the cool things about what you did with the character as well, me and Lawson, when we first were doing auditions, one of the very first conversations we had about Chief Lance was, and I asked the question, I was like, okay, so do we want J. Jonah Jameson or not? Because I was like, we could have Get Me Spider-Man, or we could have something different. So I wasn't sure because a lot of those characters could be that very easily. Chief Lance could have been that.
And a lot of people could interpret it that way just because that's, again, like you're saying about media. Popular media likes to sometimes bring up a police chief or somebody like that in that light because it's like, is it expected? Is that just how people perceive it? Who knows?
Yeah, or they're like overhyped, over upset and overworked.
Absolutely. And it's just I've drinking 50 cups of coffee and I'm shaking and I'm angry and just go get it done. Yeah, like
why is my precinct shaking? I want my precinct shaking.
I want Jakowski. Get me Jakowski.
Get me Jakowski.
That is by far, I think, one of the funnest names I've had for a project.
Jakowski.
Yeah, Jakowski.
It is a great name. Come on.
It's fun. It's a fun one.
A question I had for you is, because it just seemed this way. Number one, how many recording sessions is this for you? How many times have we brought you in?
Is it 3? I think it's 3.
Yeah, this would be. Yeah, if we're not counting the audition, this would be 3.
That's hilarious because I've been finding that out. It's been the rule of 3 for everybody, and actors need their time to figure out who that character is, and they need their time to really delve into it. And it's just funny because everybody, it seems, on their third time in is when they just come in and they're killing it right away. And we had our best session with you. I thought as far as needing best, that's subjective. But
Sure.
what I mean is we had the least amount of takes. Like this time, you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
We
By
were
far,
like, because you were
knocked
just
it out
firing
so
like
much.
we had the same thing with Adam playing Michael. Like his third time he came in, he was just rocking it. Like the lines were just boom, 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 and I was like, yeah, I can't even tell you how to do it better. Like,
especially because we had a funny moment where we discovered there is an entire section missing after he had already gone off the Frostburg. So thankfully he was here for a weekend. It was actually the weekend leading up to when we discovered that, and he came in and was just
But the question that I have for you is like, did you feel that way? Did you feel that way coming in today? Like, oh, I got this kid. You know what I mean? Like, did it?
I mean, the first kind of the first session was a little on the rocks. Like, I think I have a decent idea from reading the script, like how it should be, and kind of just trying to get the process. But second time, I was feeling a bit more comfortable. This time, like you said, I think we only did like maybe 2 or 3 takes at most.
yeah.
I felt like I was a lot more comfortable being, Chief Lance on this one.
It's because none of the lines that we were working on had the word detrimental in it.
That was the word.
It's detrimental. Detrimental. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you do your work ahead of time. You start kind of preparing. You read through the script a few times, but that's just the beauty of this thing is that once you come into it, whether it's Seth here reading off the lines just to cue you or something like that versus responding to your cue line that somebody else recorded during a separate session, it always evolves into something that you can't really expect to see happen because it's just you don't know until you're in the moment. And by far this session, it clicked, happened very naturally. It's that kind of thing where it's just, for me at least, I'm sure it's the same thing for you, Seth, where it's just so great to see how involved everybody's been. There hasn't been any actor where it's been kind of a slog getting them into the headspace whatsoever. It's been a journey for everybody. And once they're there and they feel it out, they discover it, it's like they stay there.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that.
I think definitely part of the thing is, I imagine the writing process, there was probably a lot of discussion about, who these characters were, not just what their background was, but how they talk and how they carry themselves.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing I remember from film school, like going to Towson and Anne Arundel, is when people would write scripts and they weren't super great at it, their talents just lied elsewhere.
Yeah.
All the characters kind of had the same pattern of speech, the same syntax and dialect. And it got to the point where sometimes you could be reading back and forth and you wouldn't know who's talking.
Yeah.
Versus, in Smothered, like everything is super well defined, I think, in terms of I can probably pick out lines from the scripts like, oh, well, that's definitely Tchaikovsky. That is Washburn.
Wow, that would be quite a fascinating exercise to do, right? Like just kind of pull out lines out of context, out of a hat, and just to be able to see, oh, who says that?
That would be a good drinking game.
Actually, hey, I'm just saying.
When this is all finished, maybe.
when we take the van ride up to the
yes, it's like that. There's this amazing video with this group. I believe they're based out of Chicago, but what they'll essentially do is they'll take Shakespeare shows and they'll turn it into, and they'll like repackage it as like a hip hop show, right? So they'll like deliver the iambic pentameter, but like with a beat and everything like that underneath of it, and do the entire piece. And a fascinating thing about one of the people who either started it or just was involved with it was that it was a TED Talk, so you can find this, where he'll just say out of context either a line from Shakespeare or a line from like some famous rapper or something like that from like the Wu-Tang Clan or something like that. And it was incredible seeing people just like raise their hands for different things. And you go from like an excerpt from King Lear to Cream by Wu-Tang Clan. And like people just wouldn't know because it's that kind of thing where how well are you able to really distinguish things. So, I mean, that means so much to hear you say that about the characters because you're right. I mean, sometimes for a lot of people who are writing scripts and anybody who's interested in writing scripts is typically the dialogue is written. You're your first reference when you're writing. So you very well might end up putting your own language or how you just speak into it a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a big challenge to being able to do that. So, I mean, it's very reassuring for me to hear you say that, especially since you've gone to film school and everything like that. So thank you.
I went to an art school.
Thank you for saying he's an artist.
What about the artist?
What up, ladies, gentlemen? Artist. So where you are now is do you feel as though it sounds like you would love to do more work, like this kind of work, right? Yeah. So
I'd keep making this drive out here. I keep doing it.
That's awesome, man. That is. I mean, so do you have any? I mean, we're getting pretty close to time. I think this might be a good time to just hit him up with the rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire?
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go.
go with the rapid
both sides.
fire.
Just quick answers. All right.
Why?
Yeah. What?
Detrimental.
Who? Where?
You don't want to know where.
We're
Trust me.
silly. Okay, so just for the audience out there to
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Sup.
He's on the YouTube.
Just so they can relate to you a little bit as an actor and all that kind of jazz. Favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie.
And if it's too hard to say one, we can give like a top 3.
You know, I would have to say. I would have to say either The Assassination or Going by the Book, like 2 Korean films. Like,
Okay.
Ooh.
both of them, like for me, were a little out of left field in terms of like, oh, didn't expect to see this today. I'm not upset either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't planning when I woke up in the morning, but my God.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm happy I got here.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Favorite actor or actress, either way.
I got to be honest, I really don't have one.
Really?
I really don't. I've never really followed actors or actresses. Like, I've just always followed the characters and the stories they've been portraying and bringing to life.
So there's
If
never
I had to.
Yeah, there's never been a trailer that you saw and it's this person is in it. And you say, that's all I need to hear.
Actually, I will say this, and this definitely goes back to when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Almost anything with Jackie Chan in it, I would almost always watch.
That's
actually,
awesome.
You know what? If I was going to pick a favorite movie, probably one that I've seen the most out of anything else on this earth, it would have to be Who Am I with Jackie Chan.
Haven't seen it.
He's like a special forces operative.
I've heard about it.
He gets amnesia and he's trying to figure out who the hell he is and what happened.
Is that Young Chan or?
Yeah, that's young. That's like 80s, 90s. I think one of my favorite quotes actually comes from the end of that movie, where it's like, do the right thing and stop those who don't.
Nice.
That's a theme, right?
You know,
there,
Jackie
for
Chan
sure.
or Simon Pegg, if their name is on
Simon
anything,
Pegg. Oh my God.
I don't care if they just drove by the set that day. I will watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
Because it
those
would
two.
most likely be hysterical, especially if it's Simon Pegg.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
Jackie
sure.
Chan is also pretty
Yeah.
funny, pretty darn funny when he wants to be.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't he have wasn't there a film with him recently that he was like looking pretty rugged? It was kind of like a Taken-esque film
Actually,
with him.
yes, that was The Foreigner, I believe.
The Foreigner.
He
Yeah,
actually plays against God, what's his name? He was 007 for, I think,
Pierce?
Die Another Day. Like Die Another Day and like Goldeneye. Pierce
Yeah,
Bronson.
that's Pierce
Yeah,
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah. He was playing against him. Like Pierce Bronson was like an IRA, like kind of
Wow.
like operative, and
That actually sounds good.
going back.
This
It
is
was
really good. Yeah, I remember following it
It got
for
me
a while,
excited.
but I
Like that
never
was one of
saw
the
it.
first trailers I saw in a while that got me excited for something.
Cool.
Have you seen that trailer for the, I believe it was Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? Like, it's newer.
No.
Dude, look it up.
I want to
Type
see
those two
that
names
dynamic
in.
duo.
Type
Whoa.
those two names in.
I would pay to see
Dude,
that.
this trailer, though, it will wreck your mind. You're like, what is happening right now? But
Future self, look it up if you haven't already.
Yes.
my
I
God.
know you, I know me, and me knows you.
Me,
Look it up.
me as you.
I don't remember the name, but okay. Do you have any character that you have ever like? Is there a character in anything, a book, a movie, a play, anything that you would like that calls to you like you're like, man, I would love to like play that, like sink my teeth into that.
Oh, yes, actually. In terms of like, in terms of like playing that character?
Yes.
Okay. I would have to say this is definitely like reaching out later on down the road, like years to come. If you saw the show Longmire,
Yeah.
God, what's his name? Branch's uncle.
Okay.
Where he's. I think the first instance we get is him like just shooting through a window and at a pillow in a retirement home. It's like, well, you weren't listening. That was 3 shots, not 2. No, either that or God, I would have loved to have been Robert Duvall's character from Secondhand Lions.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like just adventure and like trying to recapture that and hold on to it. Like, I absolutely love that character.
Oh yeah,
and
he's
like,
excellent.
like not only do I want to be that person more or less, but I would love to play that character, take a shot at it.
Dude, that's a great
something
answer.
cool about that gritty, like almost pulpy kind of like holding on to that fading glory, I guess.
Yeah.
That always gets me.
Falling into obscurity.
Yeah,
It's a scary thing sometimes.
Yeah.
So
and then you had the
So the question that I put into this was just most iconic voice to you, and it could be a character, it could just be somebody's speaking voice, and it could be for whatever reason you find it iconic, cadence, delivery.
Groucho Marx.
Oh wow,
Groucho Marx.
Good answer.
Dude,
like I grew up watching like the old like Marx Brothers movies.
Yeah.
I think for like my 10th or 11th birthday, I actually got like a box set of their old movies.
Oh, it's awesome.
And
That's fantastic.
that voice and that kind of demeanor, like that will always be in the back of my mind of how I'm going to reply to someone.
can we get you give us an
But
example?
you need the cigar. You need the cigar.
Oh yeah, you need this guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Can you give us an example?
I mean, I give you an example, but you wouldn't get your own after that, would you?
That's perfect.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You know what's interesting? Nobody said, and maybe it's too old timey for a lot of people, but nobody said Orson Welles. You want to talk about an iconic voice?
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I hate to say it, especially like after this next kind of weird fact, but I'm not incredibly well versed with like what the sound of his voice is. Like I've heard War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
I've heard Orson Welles plays before, but
I've only heard War of the Worlds. Yeah, so
I mean, there's a couple of them out there.
Dude.
But like a number of years ago, I went to Salem up in Massachusetts. I went to God, it was like one of those like fortune teller things, like right there in Salem. It's like a bewitched statue, like right in front of the shop. And she's like, "I think you might be the reincarnation of Orson Welles."
You actually kind of
I'm
like
like,
him.
well, I can tell you one thing. I probably eat like Orson Welles. But that was a weird circumstance for you. There's like no pretext. I didn't tell anyone I was going. Like there's no ability to call it. It's like that was a weird thing for me. Cool.
Quite a spontaneous like a spontaneous thing with a very strange compliment for somebody to give.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, and this is why I kind of take pride, or I've held on to that idea.
Yeah.
Even though I can't say that's for true, but Orson Welles is actually part of the reason. I think he's the reason, at least in the state of New York, why you can't have like lights and sirens on a civilian car. Like, for instance, like I drive an old black and white car from, I think it's from Frederick County. Like, I drive an old sheriff's car.
Really?
Blues Brothers.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go run on it later.
Oh yeah, for sure. But he's actually the reason why you can't have lights and sirens on old municipal vehicles. The reason being is back in the day when he was doing a lot of radio shows, he'd book himself for like 3, 4, 5 shows in a day. And he actually bought an ambulance. He bought an old ambulance. He'd lay in the back. He'd have a chauffeur go lights and sirens everywhere in New York.
I didn't know that.
He's the reason why.
That busy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what I would give.
To be that busy when you have to have an emergency response vehicle.
And to be that much of a boss, to be the reason why there's now nationwide laws.
Yeah, seriously. Talk about a legacy.
Well, one of the ways to remember what Orson Welles sounded like. Now, the guy was doing an impression the whole time, but just watch Pinky and the Brain. The brain is literally the guy is doing an Orson Welles impression,
it's an
to a T.
impression.
Like,
okay,
oh my God, those
the brain.
All those cartoons, man, they're all of these accents of other people. And
I miss the
they end up becoming
Animaniacs.
that. Oh my God, right? Like, Animaniacs is so good. But that's I might have said this before on this show, but that's literally the entire cast of The Simpsons. It's just bad accents or bad interpretations of people, and they just became their own thing because of that. Yeah. love us some voice here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what's up.
Hey, at least he didn't say James Earl Jones. He gave a different
God.
answer.
And I can definitely
'Cause everybody
appreciate
said
and
James Earl
respect that. Yeah, we got like 4 or 5 times or something like that, which is just solidifying that fact. But hey, it's to each his own for sure. Well, at this rate, I think this is a good place to wrap up. So, Lucas, thank you so much again for all of your work on this, all of your efforts, for being on this, for being on Smothered. Can't wait to hear you on the finished product when we finally get there. And please, everybody here, if you want to support this artiste and everybody else involved, Smothered on Indiegogo. That's called Smothered, an R-Cade production, Campaign 3. Please, whatever you can contribute whatsoever, or if you just want to share it with others, that's completely all right too. We sincerely appreciate all the efforts whatsoever. As always, follow R-Cade Productions on all the social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, that other one with the bird, Twitter. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, gotta get those tweets
other
out.
one with the bird. But yes, thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, take care.